This is MacVoices TV. This edition of MacVoices TV is brought to you by Smile, the makers of PDF Pen and Text Expander, tools for your Mac, iPhone, and iPad. Download free demos of these and more at smilesoftware.com. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is MacNotables, the home of the Mac experts you want to hear from. I'm happy to welcome back after quite some time. We haven't talked to Bob Dr. Mac LeVitus in a long time. In fact, I think we may have missed a book or two. It's been so long. Bob, it's good to have you back, and sorry it's taken us a while to get together.
It's my fault. I go into hibernation for these books, and I've been hibernating pretty much constantly since before Macworld.
And we got a chance to touch base briefly at Macworld, but then you were dashing off to give a session, I was dashing off to do more interviews, and we never ran back into each other.
And for that, I'm truly sorry, because I like being in the Macworld video. I wish we had had time to talk.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. There's a lot to do, and there are a lot of demands on your time, and I'm just glad we're able to get together now and play a little catch-up. And I guess the catch-up, the place we start first, are the two books that are out since you were here last, Incredible iPad Apps, which you co-authored with Brian Chaffin, and also I believe you have a new iPad version of the iPad For Dummies book.
Yes. I don't have one of those to hold up yet since we only finished it like a week ago, but Incredible iPad App For Dummies with Brian. I'm holding it up for the camera. It's backwards, but you can get the picture, sort of. If you can read backwards type, hold a mirror up to your screen and it'll... Do you know if it's backwards when I send it to you as video? Or does it become forwards again?
It becomes forwards again.
Oh, well, then that makes no sense at all to you out there in film land.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it going, I can't read that.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Then all my posters in the background, the Power Computing poster trilogy behind me. Yes.
So Bob, I don't know where to start. I mean, incredible iPad apps. That probably is a good place to start. First of all, that was the second to last book, with the iPad book being the last. But trying to do an app book is really a moving target. How did you do that?
Well, I have two answers to that. One answer is after doing the Incredible iPhone Apps For Dummies book single-handedly, I realized that I really needed to spend more time on the stuff that I like to do and that I want to do, and less time on the app genres that aren't necessarily things that tickle my fancy. So I split the work up between Brian and I. I said to Brian when we got together and I offered the deal to him, I said, Brian, you're getting all the chapters I don't want to write. And he said, okay, so that worked. So that was the first thing is, it wasn't that hard. I got to go through a lot more apps for this book than I did for the iPhone book, because I was only responsible for half the chapters. The other thing is, you say it's a moving target with so many new apps coming out, but I look at these books, the iPhone apps book's been out for 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months, and all of my recommendations in there, except maybe one or two, are still my top picks in the category, and most of them have been updated, more than once since then. And sometimes a new product comes along and takes over and dominates a category, and we'll be updating these books regularly, but what I tried to explain to, I think it was my wife, when she had the same comment was, well, gosh, with 1 million apps coming out every day, isn't the book obsolete before it's printed? And the answer is, a good app that's a good app today will be a good app in 3 months. It's still a good app, even if something else comes along that does some of the things it does or all the things it does, it's still good. Mostly apps don't go bad if they were good. Look at Red Laser, for example. There's an app I've been recommending since, the day it came out. Now it's part of eBay, I think, and the price went down, and I think it might even be free now. It's free. Yeah, it's free now. I wrote a column about it. I recommended it when it was $3. So it's free, I definitely recommend Red Laser.
You know, you make a real good point, because I look at the apps that are on my home screen or that I use the most, and yeah, there have been some new ones added to it, but for the most part, some of the apps I started with are still some of the ones I've stuck with. There have been some that have been supplanted with others that are a bit more fully featured, but you said it so well. That doesn't make the original pick a bad app. It just makes it maybe a simpler app.
No, and all the time, every week, I spend between, I budget $100 a month for apps. And I'm always putting new apps on the front home screen of my iPhone and my iPad to try them out. You know, if I pick up my iPad, I don't even know. I can't even remember what's on the front page, but I'm just going to open it up and look and tell you what apps are like front and center today for testing. Oh, you can't see me smiling at you, Chuck. I'm smiling.
Which means that you see something you like.
So here you go. Yeah, Note Taker HD, which is the handwriting note-taking thing from, what's his name? Dan Bricklin, I think. And I got Vocal Live, which I can use with my new... what's it called? iRig mic? iRig mic, which plugs into your iPad so that you can record with a pretty high quality microphone, which is pretty cool. And the latest ITV, EYE ITV, just had an update, and the update added AirPlay compatibility. So technically, I'll be able to sit in the den with my iPad and stream things either to my iPad or to my big screen TV. I don't know. I'm not sure yet because of the Apple TV. I have to check that out. But that was their big new feature, is AirPlay. So it means that I'll be able to get more stuff. I can already get live TV on 99 channels from the iTV. And I get movies from Netflix. In my house, I can watch anything on my iPad or iPhone in really... really good, stable, unstuttering streaming. I mean, we have very, very good connectivity. So, I'm playing with... new Tiger Woods came out last week. I got that. GarageBand I've been playing with. Got some cute little thing called, I don't even remember, unnecessary censorship, which lets you videotape people and add beeps and pixelate their mouths and stuff. It's hysterical because you can get people talking about something totally innocuous and make them look like they're saying something really disgusting. My wife thinks it's hysterical. I've done it. It's an iPhone app, but it'll run on the iPad too, so I've been running it on both and playing with it. And it's fun to shoot a little video of someone and then bleep out half of what they say so they look like they're potty mouths.
I haven't heard about that one. That's interesting.
Unnecessary censorship.
Ah, okay.
Very
Got to
cute.
put that one down. Yeah. Bob, you know, I tend to be more of a serious user, which always kind of carries over into this when we talk. You always bring up fun apps, but I'm curious.
Because I can.
Oh, yeah.
It's my job. That's what I tell my wife when she sees me playing Tiger Woods on the iPad. Hey, honey, it's work.
I'm curious about your news readers, and what I mean by that is not necessarily the USA Today app or the Wall Street Journal app, but RSS readers. Are you using anything there? What do you like, or what's in the book that you like?
I don't. I like, what's it called? Well, I'll just look. See, I don't do RSS on my iPad usually because it's just so much more comfortable at my big screen, and I don't usually need it right this second. I tend to use the iPad much more for entertainment consumption and for, you know, moving. Like, I use it, I hang it in the kitchen when I'm cooking. It's got recipes. All my PDFs of every recipe I have are on a folder in my Dropbox, so I can see them in the kitchen on my iPad. But as far as news readers, Brian wrote that chapter, by the way. I'll tell you what we got. We got BBC News, Flipboard, NPR for iPad, Pulse News, Wired, BlogShelf, Reader, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and Zinnia. And that's in the news and information category. And, you know, the thing is, each of those represents what was, at least at the time, the best, and best is so hard to define. What makes one better than the other is completely subjective. Which one would we keep using if we had three that were doing the same task? Which one is the one we'd use? That's kind of how it's best. There is no, you know, checklist or anything like that. So I tend not to use that kind of stuff on the iPad too much. My wife does, and she, I think, likes Huffington Post. I don't know, USA Today. Like I said, I have a 30-inch display in the office and a really comfortable ergonomic chair and keyboard, so I tend to go into the office. If I'm not out of town, the iPad around the house is much more of an entertainment consumption device. I'll use it in the living room. This is kind of funny. I have a cable so I can plug it into the bedroom TV and watch a movie in the bedroom on the TV. And that's convenient because we don't have anything else in there except cable TV. No, like TiVo or DVR. Nothing fancy in the bedroom.
It's always interesting to listen to the way people use their iPads, and it doesn't surprise me that you, knowing you, use it for a lot of entertainment consumption. I would think that you've probably had a great time with the new GarageBand.
I haven't spent nearly enough time with it, but it is a lot of fun, and it's pretty different from GarageBand on the Mac. I think people will have a lot more fun with it, and I think it's accessible to a lot more people than GarageBand itself. I used to teach GarageBand classes, and you know, I've written about it ad nauseum. It's been one of my loves forever, and I've seen how people have a conceptual difficulty with multi-track recording, the whole metaphor of how you do it, and GarageBand can be a little bit intimidating. The iPad app makes it a lot easier to just do something and make it sound like music. So I think a lot of people who, you know, maybe wouldn't play with GarageBand too much on their Mac will find it really fun. Also, it's what, $10? $5? It's a bargain, whatever it is.
Yeah, Apple's doing a real good job of that. They're taking some of these apps, especially things that, you know, I'm not going to pay $30 or $20 for a GarageBand app on my iPad. At $5, though, and after seeing some demos, it's like, yeah, I'll pick that up. I'll go play with that. It's really interesting to me that with all the discussion over the low price of apps, that Apple has taken something they could easily justify charging $20, $30, $40 for, put it at a $5 or $10 price point, and say, here it is.
Well, and I do believe that a lot of the success of the App Store is due to the dollar app. You know, to me, a dollar app, if someone says I like this app and it's $1, I don't even think about it. I buy it, I put it on my phone, and I play with it. Because if you like it, that's enough for me to spend $1 to see if it's any good. And you got to figure there's lots of people buying a lot of dollar apps and a lot of $2 and $3 apps, and because they're so affordable, people are buying a lot of them. And I suspect some of these app developers are making millions of dollars on their $2 and $3 and $1 app.
Yeah.
How many Angry Birds does it take to retire, you know?
Why is it everybody we talk to has to bring up Angry Birds?
Because Angry Birds, there's going to be a movie. You've heard that, right? There's going to be a movie about the Angry Birds. They're getting their own TV show. They've been signed to 6 endorsement deals now, and they're one of them was drafted by the NFL. I'm kidding.
Bob, why do I think that there's going to be an Angry Birds bubble here that we're going to see, take place? That this is all going to come crashing down? Maybe not. You know, I'm a notorious non-gamer, and I look at Angry Birds and I appreciate the physics. I appreciate how well done it is. But we go to my user group meeting. People, I don't even think they know how to spell the word game, and they're Angry Birds addicts.
It's a very compelling game, easy to learn and easy to play all the way through levels, but hard to play through the levels and get 3 stars on each. So after you've gotten through it once, then somebody says to you, "But have you gotten 3 stars on every level?" Like my son. So, and then the new game came out, Rio, which is based on the characters that are going to be in the Angry Birds movie, I guess. So, what's going to happen is they're going to release Angry Birds 13, and the headline is going to read, Angry Birds 13 ships platinum and returns double platinum. Nobody will buy it. After a point, something else will come along. And the next thing do you see any Tomb Raider games coming out this month? Do you remember that? And they made a movie, and they made a movie with Angelina Jolie, and it was a big thing for a long time. Prince of Persia. I think making a movie about video games is the death of the game. I think it's like jumping the shark.
That may be true. On the other hand, I got to give them credit. The Angry Birds people, more than some of the others, though, have really done a great job of keeping it going by introducing new versions of the game for the holidays, tying in now with a movie. I give them a lot of credit because I think they've had a lot more time on top of the heap maybe than they might have, and they may stay there for a while, and maybe it's because it is such a great basic kind of game. Like you say, it's easy to learn, apparently easy to get addicted to if your addictions lie in that direction.
Well, if you're the kind of person that whips out your phone or your iPad when you're bored and nothing's going on, it's a great game because you can play, you could play for 3 seconds, or you could play for 15 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, but it's not like it requires you to sit down and spend a bunch of time. It's something you can do a little, like in line at a grocery store. I see people doing it all the time. They're waiting in line, they get their headphones on, and they're flicking their fingers. And there's a certain way you flick your finger on your phone that makes it really obvious that you're flicking Angry Birds into the air. And I can point them out. I'll go shopping and say, hey, honey, look, that guy over there, he's standing in line playing Angry Birds. How do you know? Because his finger's going like this on the iPhone.
Okay, Bob, so I have to ask, do you do anything that the rest of us would consider productive? I realize for you this is work, but any productivity apps that you really like on the iPad? Productivity, however you want to describe productivity.
Well, yes, actually. There's a bunch. I've been playing with a new... It's kind of a game, but in a way it's also very much a productivity app if you're trying to learn how to play a guitar. It's called Rock Prodigy, and they've licensed original recordings of like hundreds of songs, and it's Rock Band or Guitar Hero, except you play on a real guitar, and you're graded by whether you play the right note on the right string at the right time, and so it's listening to your guitar, rather than, playing some piece of plastic with 5 colored buttons on it. So you're playing a real guitar, and if you play the notes correctly, your score is higher, and you can watch it. It's got animation just like Guitar Hero. The little dots go under the fretboard, and they glow for as long as you're supposed to hold the note, and it's really challenging, and I don't know how much better a guitarist it'll make me, but I do know it's helping me to play the right note at the right time. It's like learning to play a song by playing along with it, and the better I play, the higher my grade. GarageBand kind of tries to do it, but GarageBand on the Mac kind of tries to do that. But this is really fun if you're a guitarist. They gave me a couple of free games. The game is free with a couple of things already in it. And they gave me a couple of songs for free, and I've already bought like 5 songs. It's like, and they're $2 each, but I bought a David Bowie song, and I bought, what else did I buy? I bought some Southern rock. I think I bought a 38 Special song, maybe? Would it be? Yeah, I think so. But it's really a lot of fun. It's called Rock Prodigy, or Rock Prodigy HD, I guess, is the iPad version. Really fun. So that was productive. I learned to play my guitar more fluidly. What else have I done? I'm looking at my iPad and I'm going, no, that's a game. No, that's fun. No, that's not. I'll tell you what I really love: Dragon Dictation. I use it all
Yes.
the time because
Yes.
a lot of times I just don't want to have to type on the glass keyboard, especially on the phone and especially in the car. So it's the perfect thing. I pick it up. I can, if I'm on my home screen, I can tap on it with my thumb without looking. I talk and talk and talk. I hit the little button and I put my phone down. And I don't send it to myself until later, but by the time I'm ready to send it, it's written, and I can either send it or just do it. But it's sitting there waiting for me in Dragon Dictation. So I tend to, take a lot of notes in Dragon Dictation no matter what device I'm walking around with.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. Especially, I use that, and if I combine that with a nice earpiece, that supports the voice dialing just by touching the earpiece. You don't have to touch the iPhone. You can do dictation. You can do phone calls, and have the iPhone still in your pocket to a large degree.
So I'm testing the new Jawbone Era, which is their newest Jawbone. And that's exactly what I was thinking about. It's great, I use it for all of my input. And today I was driving in the car with the top down, and it was too loud. The wind noise was too just noisy to listen to a podcast. I wasn't hearing everything. I was going 55, so I pulled out the Era, put it in my ear, switched inputs or outputs, and listened to it in my right ear. In a car with the top down, it was great.
Yeah, I've got. I forget now which one precedes the Era, but the last generation.
The Hero, also very
Hero?
good.
Okay.
Also very good. But, they've never really made a bad one. And as the generations go on, and I've had maybe 3 or 4 of theirs over the years, they've gotten more comfortable, and they've definitely gotten easier to use. In the beginning, it was hard to figure out what to do with them. Now they talk to you. They basically, there's only a couple things. The new one has gestures, so you can shake it 4 times to pair, or shake it twice to make a call. Yeah, it's got an accelerometer in it, so it's got some gestures that once you learned them, they're kind of cool. You can pull it out of your pocket, shake it twice, and stick it in your ear.
I did not know that.
Very fun. All right, I got another one that's kind of useful. No, it's definitely useful. So you take these pictures with your camera on your iPhone or your iPad too, and what do you do with them? Probably just save them and dump them on your hard disk and never do anything cool with them. But what if you're somewhere really cool and you get a really cool picture, you want to share it with people? So one of the ways you can share it is with Bill Atkinson. Does that name ring any bells? Bill Atkinson's photo card app. Have you seen this?
I have. In fact, I talked to Bill Atkinson last year, not this past Macworld, but the year before, right after he had introduced the first version. And some of those cards are stunning that he produces, but he, like you're about to say, he lets you use your photos as well. Yeah, this is
and you can email them, and his emailing cards are beautiful. They're much prettier than if you just send somebody a picture. But the cool thing is you can buy credits, and they print them on some really great printer, and make 5x7 postcards that they mail via U.S. Postal Service to anywhere in the world. For a couple bucks each, they print them, and they're beautiful. They are beautiful, and so you get a great picture of the Eiffel Tower with your wife in the foreground. You send it to her mother. It's worth way more than the $2 it cost you. So.
Oh, and have you looked at what postcards cost and postage costs? I mean, this is more than competitive at this point.
Well, and you buy the credits, so it's fuss free and it happens immediately. So we were in Washington D.C., Lisa and I, and we were at the Smithsonian, and we were at the Spy Museum, and so we had these great pictures of us in front of all these noteworthy buildings and monuments and stuff, and we sent a few of those postcards to her mom. It was very cool because she got them in the mail a few days later, and it was just much more thoughtful, I think, than email. They're beautiful.
Agreed.
I always keep a balance on my photo card thing. Oh, I got another new thing recently that not everybody can get, but that's really cool on the iPad. Time Warner has this cable app that if you're a Time Warner cable customer, which I am, lets you use your iPad like it's another TV. Basically, you can walk around the house, watching TV in real time on your iPad.
Yeah, isn't this the one though? The time that who was it?
A couple of people pulled their shows, and the next day they added 17 more shows, 17 more channels. But
okay.
It's awesome. I mean, it works great. I was sitting on the back deck. I had the iPad propped up on the table, and I was watching. What's that show we like? Oh, Showbiz Tonight. I was getting the latest on Charlie.
Okay, Bob. I didn't know you were a Charlie Sheen fan.
I'm not, but when I have the opportunity... Ooh, look, Terminator 2 Judgment Day is on AMC, which I can get on that. It's pretty cool. Some of the channels are HD. Very nice for a free app. I mean, I guess free with my $170 a month cable bill, but free. They could have asked for $5 a month for this, and a lot of people probably would have said fine.
It was an interesting development to see this, and you think, okay, I have to give the Time Warner people credit that, and unfortunately, a thumbs down to the networks that wanted to pull their content off. People are losing interest, I think, in cable TV, and this is a way to regenerate that interest and keep you as a subscriber if you can send it out.
Well,
so
let me tell you a little story that really kind of surprised me. My daughter has a 27-inch iMac, but she doesn't own a television. She's 22. She's a chef. She's going to school and chefing, and she doesn't own a TV. She says everything she wants to watch, she can rent at Blockbuster or Netflix, or watch on the internet on her computer. And she watches a lot of this stuff on Hulu or on HBO.com or whatever. So a lot of people are bypassing the cable. I think Time Warner is really smart, though, to say, hey, people have these things, and they're already paying for this content. It's coming into their house in all these other pipes. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to, have this pipe also. It's just like having another TV in your house.
I agree. And I think the people that are trying to close their fists around it are making a huge mistake.
They are, and they'll be sorry, because later on, when this is more mature, I suspect some of the players who got it will be much more well entrenched, and it'll be hard to make a comeback from that far behind, that big a deficit. So, if you want to be stupid now, that's good, because tomorrow you might not be around anymore. Look at all these technologies that are being laid by the wayside. My daughter doesn't have a TV. That's unheard of to me. I mean, it's like I know people my age who don't have a TV, but those are like radical people who are, they're trying to prove something. They don't have a TV on purpose.
Yeah, but think of what you just said about your daughter, though. There's nothing that she wants to watch that she can't get online.
I understand completely, and I'm saying, I don't think that way because I grew up in a different time, and I can't shift my whole media consumption thing onto my TV screen unless I can put it on the 55-inch in the den, and I found a way to kind of do that. So, and that leads us to Apple TV too.
I knew we were going to get there.
Well, I saw the opening and I took it. Apple TV 2 is the greatest addition to a HD TV / PC or Mac household ever. It lets you stream everything in your iTunes library to your big screen TV and your great stereo in the multimedia room. Unbelievable for $100. And of course, it's got other features like Netflix and a bunch of other, YouTube on your big screen TV. Lots of stuff that you might be able to get elsewhere, but its big advantage, and I've tested several, I'm not going to name names because I haven't written about them yet, but I've tested several home media products that purport to do what the Apple TV 2 is doing, and none of them works very well, and certainly none of them works as smoothly with my media, which happens to live in iTunes anyway because I have iDevices. And I don't think I'm that alone in that. I think there's a lot of people who have a lot of their media stored in iTunes because it's a good place to put it, especially if you own an iPhone or an iPad.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that right now that for me Apple TV is missing is Hulu. That would give you current season content that right now is missing that Netflix doesn't have.
So you buy the HDMI cable for your
Yeah.
for your iPad. I mean, I've got that, and I can do that, and I'm starting to learn how to do that. But you know, I've got cable TV and a DVR, which makes it, you know, it's just so easy. I'm so used to doing it that way that the occasions are far and few between. But I understand how today, you know, the young generation can look at a TV as something they don't really need. They need a computer. They need internet access, but they don't really need a television or a VCR or a DVR or any of that kind of stuff. And that's where, you know, that's where my brain differs. I just don't really think in that realm. TVs are where I watch movies, not on my device.
But if you think about it, Bob, you know, what difference does it make whether the movie is stored on your TiVo or your DVR or whatever, or on Netflix servers somewhere?
Well, that's what we're getting to. Is pretty soon. At the end of the day, soon, it's not going to matter where your media lives. You'll be able to watch anything you want, wherever you want, whenever you want. I think we're pretty close now. I mean, I've got some apps that let me watch all my iTunes video on the road. I've got probably 100 movies. You can't fit all those on an iPad, but I can go on the road for a month and watch all 100 of them from the hotel or airport or wherever. Not on the airplane, of course, but I can have them streamed to me with Air Video. Awesome.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I'm starting to develop a media strategy that's going to work like that. I'm moving all of my media, my pictures, my movies, my music, all onto a separate external hard disk that's automatically backed up, and then on my laptop hard disk I have like a little sub library. It's kind of like syncing your iPhone. You have to pick what's going to fit. So that's working for me now. I think I have room to expand. I'm already pretty close to a terabyte.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Bob, we've spent a lot of time here on apps and app-related things, and we've crossed over a little bit into the iPad. But the other new book that you have, the most recent new book, is the second edition of iPad for Dummies. What's new in the book, and who is the book for? Is it for a brand new iPad owner, or is it for someone upgrading to the iPad 2?
Oh, I think somebody upgrading to the iPad 2 would not need the book, because really the new features, a lot of them are invisible. The speed, the graphics processing, the amount of memory, stuff like that is under the hood. You can't see it, and it doesn't need to be explained in a book. The cameras are the biggest, like, new feature, really. And, you know, if you don't... there's not that much in the book about that. What it was we went through the book and updated everything to the latest version of iOS. And so the book is now going to be the most modern book for any iPad owner. If any iPad owner wants a book about their device in iOS, this is the book. And it's, at this moment, up to date both... in system software, operating system software, and hardware, or it will be when it comes out in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. So it's finished. It's just not actually out on the street yet.
Yeah, I think it's going to the printer soon.
Good. Okay, so we've done 2 new books. We've done a lot of apps. We've done the Apple TV.
I have a new MacBook Pro.
That new MacBook Pro. You're playing with the new MacBook Pro.
I am, and this week, if you read my column, put a link to my column in the show notes. This week's column was, so I have this, like, my main computer, which I love, is a Mac Pro Tower with 8 cores and 16 gigabytes of RAM and 4 internal hard disks and 11 ports, and with stuff in all of them, and I just love it because it's the perfect setup for someone like me who's always trying new stuff. You know, it's like I always want to keep a lot of things on for testing. I've got 2 Bluetooth speakers on my desk today. I've got a portable scanner. I've got a couple of card readers, I've got 7 hard disks, I've got some speakers, some wireless keyboards, and so for me, the Mac Pro with all that horsepower is a great idea. But that and the 30-inch display and the 27-inch display heat up my office and take up almost all of my office space. And so I'm hoping someday to find, here, I'm going to go find my column online so that I can read you the version you would see. If I open my copy on my hard disk, I'm afraid that what you read might be slightly different because they do sometimes edit. Here it is. I had a great line, though, if I do say so myself. I don't think I'm asking that much. All I want is a laptop with the performance and expandability of a Mac Pro, the battery life of an iPad, and support for big honking external display or 2.
Is that all?
That's all. And you know, every time Apple comes out with an update to the MacBook Pro series, I get all excited and I think, this is going to be the one. I'm going to be able to switch. I'm going to be happy. You know, I'm going to be able to put enough RAM and connect enough stuff, and it's going to really allow me to be more portable and downsize, because I don't like syncing my... I mean, Dropbox has really made my life a lot easier with a laptop and a desktop computer, but I'd really like to just have one computer. That would make me so happy. Because I spend a lot of time doing maintenance to keep 2 computers, you know, perfectly synchronized and usable, because I put new apps on stuff, and you know, I download things that don't go in Dropbox. I do spend a certain amount of time trying to make sure that I don't leave the house without something important, and making sure that both computers are backed up and things like that. So having one computer has long been a dream of mine, and this new MacBook Pro has, you guessed it, 2 quad-core processors, so that makes it 8 cores. You'll have to tune into next week's column for my tale's thrilling conclusion, though.
Well, I think we have a pretty good idea where it's going if you've got 8 cores in your lap.
And it feels so good.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough. We're not going to go any farther.
I'm not the one with the dirty mind that's laughing about it. But you're
setting me up.
It felt good.
Yeah, let's face it.
Hey, 8 cores anywhere feel good.
You do have to wonder, though, where we can go next. I mean, Apple keeps throwing all this power at us, and you're right. You put 8 cores in a MacBook Pro. I mean, that's so much beyond what used to sit on our desktops when we bought the top-of-the-line machines, even at the Pro level.
Indeed. I haven't decided yet, to tell you the truth, but I'm going to be doing some traveling in the next few months, and I'm thinking my I guess it's a 2008. Is that 5 years old? 2007 or 2008 MacBook Pro just isn't going to be up to it. It only can hold 3 gigabytes of RAM, which is absolutely not enough for me to work on a book. You know, I need to have, at the very least, I need to jump back and forth between Photoshop and Word, and if I can't do that, you know, without breathing hard, God, who knows what'll happen when I try to get my mail and surf the web too. So that's kind of, you know, I'm looking for something that will let me multitask the way I do at home in a hotel room, or on an airplane, or a train, or a boat.
Bob, before we wrap up, I want to make sure we do promote one other little project that you're involved with, and that is that I'm going to get to see you, I believe, next month. You're coming to the Northeast again to do your annual mug tour.
Yes, I am. I'm doing the annual Mid-Atlantic tour, and I will be stopping in the Hershey, Pennsylvania area, as it turns out.
Yep, you've got, I believe, Hershey, the mainline Mac user group in Philadelphia, yeah, and then the Princeton Mac user group in Princeton, New Jersey.
That's correct. Those are my 3 stops this year.
Okay, folks, so if you're in the Northeast, if you're near Hershey, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, or Princeton, New Jersey, contact the local Mac user groups there. I'll make sure I have links. I make sure I have links in the show notes to each of their websites. Find out what the date is of that May meeting for those groups. Come out and see Bob. Tell him you saw him on MacNotables and MacVoices TV, and that you love what he does, because we all love what Bob does.
Oh, you're too kind. I love user groups. I mean, I wouldn't be in this business if it weren't for user groups. If I hadn't found a user group when I had my first Mac, I probably would have given up and hired somebody to use computers for me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, so many of us got our start there, and it's still a great place to go, if for no other reason than to go and share your knowledge. Even if you think you know it all, I don't believe you do, but go and share your knowledge, but go and just enjoy being around a bunch of people that you have something in common with. It's always a good night when you go to a Mac user group.
Yes. Well, anytime I attend a user group meeting, whether I'm speaking or not, that's always a good night for me. I just like, my wife says, it's like you like to go hang out with your peeps.
Yeah. Yes,
like, yeah,
exactly.
You're exactly right. It's like we speak the same language.
Yes,
we
exactly.
speak geek.
Exactly. Well, Bob, we got to make it a lot more often this year. We can't have as much time in between, because if we do, you'll just have too many books to write.
Well, I'm starting on another book this week, as a matter of fact. You're supposed to say, what book would that be?
Well, I didn't know if I was allowed to.
You can, but then I get to say, well, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll give you a hint. It's going to be a roaring success. Oh,
okay.
That was terrible.
That was terrible. And we're just going to
You can leave that there, but yeah. I mean, it's not. It shouldn't be a big secret, considering that I've written all of the Mac OS X for Dummies books since the first one.
Well, while you're in the bunker, come up for milk and cookies once in a while and come and talk to us.
I will indeed. It's been a pleasure.
It always is. And I'll see you in May.
Yeah, the week of May 15th for those of you out there. And more information, visit Chuck's website.
Exactly.
Because there won't be info on mine. But you can visit mine if you need tech support, troubleshooting, or training.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. It's such an automatic part of my thinking with you that I forget.
I forgot too. And Pat yells at me, my partner in this deal. She yells at me if I don't plug the consulting business. But yes, we do tech support training and troubleshooting. And unlike most of the services I've seen, you don't pay if we don't fix it.
Yeah, that's rare.
With money back guarantee. If we don't fix it, you don't pay.
That's rare. And that's Dr. Mac Consulting, and you find that at BobLeVitus.com.
Oh, we did that in stereo. That was great.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, thanks a lot. It's always a pleasure.
And you too, Chuck. Anytime. We're going to do this more often.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. He's been Bob Dr. Mac LeVitus, and this is MacNotables on MacVoices TV. Check the website for links to everything that Bob and I talked about, all the applications, Bob's book, the hardware, pretty much everything we can think of. Until the next time, thanks for watching. MacVoices TV is part of the MacVoices Group and a member of Mac Level 10.